Hi guys, this is Jonathan from the events team at Wherstead Park. In my spare time I'm known to make a fairly fancy cake or two, and I have a little Instagram page, Mr. Senior's Serious Bakes. Purely a hobby, not a professional, but just bake things that I really love and enjoy. Originally I was going to include me sort of doing a full Christmas cake recipe, but it's quite a sort of a long drawn out affair, and obviously it's not very family friendly because it contains alcohol. So what I thought I'd do for you all today was to put up one of my favourite chocolate brownie recipes, and this one is a little bit festive because there's a little bit of cinnamon in the brownie mix, and also I include Ferrero Rocher truffles, the milk chocolate ones and the white chocolate ones that have got sort of the coconut in as well. So I'll sort of take you through the method on the film, and I'll sort of flash up the recipe as we're going along, and then hopefully it's something that you might all want to sort of try and enjoy at home in this run up to Christmas. So I hope you enjoy the film. Right guys, so what we've got here, I've got 8 eggs, decent size, good quality free range eggs, 200 grams of unsalted butter, about 500 grams of golden caster sugar. Again, it's a lot of sugar in these, but it is Christmas. And then we've got 200 grams here of the Ferrero Rocher. I'm doing a mixture of the two, but obviously you can put in whatever you like. Other things that you can put in these brownies, as long as it's the right weight, it doesn't really matter what chocolate. So some of the things that I use in the past, I've used After 8 mints, for example. You can use salted caramel truffles, you know, anything that's going to add an extra layer of flavour to the brownie. Even halved Cadbury's cream eggs is really nice as well. And then I've got 400 grams of really good quality dark chocolate there. That's just simmering over a pan of water just to sort of melt down the chocolate a little bit. And then at the back there, I've got 200 grams of plain flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 60 grams of cocoa powder. And basically, I'll go through the method in just a second for you. You want to do, obviously, once you've weighed out all your ingredients, as I said, the recipe on the screen shortly, put your oven on to about 170 if it's a conventional oven, 160 if it's a fan, and then what you want to do is get a small pan of water here, about an inch of water in the bottom, and then a heat-proof bowl on the top. Basically break up your chocolate in there. The idea is that the water in the pan should never make contact with the bowl, otherwise it tends to sort of split out and make the chocolate go really grainy. And then to the chocolate, what you're going to do is you're going to add your butter, and basically that'll take a good few minutes, but the idea is that you want the chocolate and the butter to sort of slowly melt together until you end up with this sort of really delicious, rich, sort of molten mixture put together. And then obviously once that's completely melted out, you can just take that off the heat and leave it to cool for a few minutes. Right, so the next thing you want to do while that chocolate and butter is melting is basically, I'll just move all these out of the way, crack all your eggs into one bowl. It is an awful lot of eggs and an awful lot of sugar, but if you're making a brownie, you've got to do it right. And as I said, you know, as best you can, you know, free range eggs, nice and fresh, will make all the difference with the flavour. A couple more to go. There we go. So that's 8 eggs. Let's get that out of the way. And then I've got 500 grams here of golden caster sugar. Again, if you can get golden, try. I got this from the supermarket today, and it was a bit of a struggle because the shelves were a bit bare. But the golden will just add that slightly more sort of caramelly flavour to the brownies, and a bit of extra richness, which is really delicious. And then basically you want to whisk this up until it's kind of really sort of quite light and fluffy, and you'll see, you know, if you move the whisk around in the bowl, you'll be able to get sort of light ribbons sort of going from the mixture. So again, it'll take a few minutes. See, now it's kind of, you know, really sort of coming together nicely, and if you just get a little bit between your fingers, you know, I can feel that's still slightly grainy, so I'm just going to whisk it for another minute or so. So you can see now with the butter and chocolate, it's all starting to melt and come together sort of really nicely. It doesn't need an awful lot of heat. So as you can see, the water underneath is sort of really hot. So I've actually taken it off the ring now, and hopefully the residual heat will just sort of continue to melt that. But just keep it moving from time to time. It will do its own thing, but you just kind of need to be a little bit patient with that, and eventually it will kind of come together completely sort of lump free and really nice and sort of glossy and delicious, which obviously you're going to mix into the egg and flour mixture once that's all put together as well. So we'll come back to that in just a second. Okay, so I've taken the bowl with the chocolate and the butter mix off the saucepan now, and as you can see now it's all thick, glossy, no lumps, beautifully melted, but it's actually not that hot. The bowl is warm, but the chocolate's not too bad. So that is now ready to mix into our egg mixture, which is here. So this is the eggs and the sugar all whipped up together, and the idea of this, you don't really need to mix it in with an electric mixer. You can just sort of fold this in now with a wooden spoon. Just go steady as you go, a little bit at a time, because you don't want to cook the egg. Obviously the chocolate mixture isn't that hot, so it's not too risky at this stage when you sort of popping this in. Just keep it moving. Already it smells amazing. And it doesn't need to be sort of completely whipped through. You know, the idea with the brownie is that, you know, the mixture's fairly sort of roughly mixed. So when it's baked, you sort of get little sections within the brownie that are some a little bit more oozy than others. But the idea is that you sort of want this really lovely chocolatey sort of batter that you can see here. Okay, so now that that's all mixed together, so now in here I've got the flour, cocoa, baking powder. Give it a little sift. As I said, the cocoa tends to be a little bit lumpy, and obviously you want to make sure the baking powder gets equally distributed through the whole mix. So, you know, sieving it is definitely worth it. And what I normally do, is just push it through with your fingers or the back of a spoon, just to get all those last bits in. Okay. And then now with this, just be a little bit more gentle. You're just folding this mix through. And it will just take a few minutes, but just keep sort of taking it down from the sides, folding it over, cutting it in half, and eventually it will come together. There we go. So what you can see, it's obviously this is all beautifully incorporated together now, really nice and smooth, smells very chocolatey, and that basically is your basic brownie batter all ready to go. Okay, so I've got my brownie batter mix here, and all I've got here is a rectangle tray. This one is 32 by 22, so this is probably quite a generous amount of brownies, so I might have a little bit over, but I can, you know, do that into a couple of little extra tins if I needed to. But the idea is that the tin has been sprayed, lined with baking parchment, and then you just want to pour the batter in. And then I've got a little bit left over there, but I'm going to put that into a couple of bun tins. So straight into the tin there, as you can see. And then what I've got here are my Ferrero Rocher chocolates. Let me just bring you over a little bit. There we go. And then with these, I'm literally just dropping them in whole into the mixture and alternate them or jumble them up, however you want to do it really. So as you can see, I've got all the brownie mix in the tin there, and then all I've done is I put the chocolates in whole, apart from a few little bits at the ends. And then the idea is as the brownie bakes, the mixture will rise up around those little Ferrero Rochers. They might crack and break a little bit, but obviously what you're going to do is get all the lovely gooey filling from the truffles. Okay, so the brownie's all done, all in the tray, all nicely sort of arranged, and then this will go into the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. The thing with a brownie is be brave. Basically check it after about 25 minutes, just give the tin a little bit of a shake. It might still have a little bit of a wobble in the middle, but as long as it's got kind of a crust on the top, I like to take it out after about 25 because I like my brownies to be quite gooey. If you like them a bit firmer, leave them in for 30 minutes. If you stick a skewer in these, the skewer may well still come out with a little bit of cake mix on it because it's a brownie, but I think maximum 30 minutes should do it, and then obviously let them cool completely before you cut them, and then you're ready to go. So we'll see what they're like after. Okay, so these have just come out of the oven now. Mine have literally had 25 minutes, and if I just give it a little, you can see there's a little bit of movement, but they're nice and firm. A little bit of cracking on the side, which tells me that it's kind of cooked quite nicely. And as you can see, the truffles, you can still see them, but obviously they'll be all nice and gooey as well. So yeah, we now need to be really patient and let that cool until they are completely cold. So while the brownies are still cooling, just one little thing that you can do just to add a little bit of extra festive touch to it. I've just got a little bit of edible silver spray here, so you can just kind of give them a little dusting over the top, just to give them a little bit of Christmas. There we are, guys. Ferrero Rocher festive chocolate brownies all done for you. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and hey, why not give it a go? Merry Christmas.